So we have a 2003 Volkswagen Jetta here. We're going to be doing the timing belt and water pump kit on it. Weston just picked this car up for
$700.
$700.
Been sitting for 7 years.
Been sitting in a guy's back lot for 7 years. And we're just going to fix it up. It needs like the shifter bushings. It's other than being leather, it's power heated seats, cloth interior, but it's heated seats with a sunroof. And
180,000 miles.
180,000 miles, 5-speed TDI ALH diesel. And we got it out of this guy's field. And so far all we've done to it is put a battery in it and a new fuel filter. And we got it running, drove it off the trailer. And so we got all the stuff for the timing belt kit in, and we're going to go over that today.
Timing belt, EGR delete.
Yeah, and the EGR delete too. So I guess we'll go over the timing belt stuff. We got everything from ID parts. It's your timing belt, your tensioner, your big idler, your 2 smaller idlers, all the new bolts, new water pump. Comes with a diagram, all the torque specs and stuff. Serpentine belt. And there's some other stuff you can get too. We just, we got like the basic kit right now just so we can get it going. And
Drive around, make sure it's not going to blow up.
yeah, make sure it's not going to blow up, make sure it's going to be worth it. And we have driven it like, what, a mile up and down the road.
A little bit.
We just, it's right at 200,000 miles and it's set for 7 years. So we're going to do the timing belt. Better safe than sorry. But we got all the special tools. We got the cam gear, the cam sprocket holder to torque it, the cam sprocket puller, we got the crankshaft holder, the camshaft holder, injection pump pin, the tensioner, pulley, tightener, and then the wrench for it. We got the EGR kit, just a basic EGR delete off eBay. Of eBay. They're like
50 bucks.
55 bucks. They sell 2 different kinds. You want to get the kind that comes with the hose. Just because it's already pre-shaped. You don't have to mess with anything. It comes with all the block-off plates, stuff. And then we got fresh oil. We're just going to run some Rotella T6 540 in it for now. On the next oil change, she's going to get the
505 spec.
Yeah, the actual European spec
the
oil.
505.
Yeah, and we got fresh coolant for it down there as well. But right now, what we're going to do, we're going to get all this stuff vacuumed out of here. It's full of leaves and dead bugs, and we're going to clean it up a little bit, and then we will start tearing into it. Okay, so we got it all pressure washed and vacuumed, and it's a lot cleaner now. A lot cleaner. Our glow plug harness, though, is completely shot, so mind that. Don't give us too much trouble about that. But Weston is down there right now. He is draining the radiator, so we don't have a big mess of coolant everywhere. Let me take the cap off. I think it's its own, I think it vents itself. But. So while that's draining, we're going to pull the air box off. We're going to pull the CCV vent off and the upper intercooler hose, and we're going to start taking off the EGR valve and all the EGR stuff. And just we're just going to get all that out of the way to free up some space. And then after we do that, we'll take the tire off and get it up on a jack stand so we can so we can start doing the timing belt. But for now, we'll come back when we have all this stuff off the top, and we'll go from there.
Right now, Justin's taking the EGR off. I'm gonna go ahead and take the coolant flange off. It's 2 10mm bolts. One right there, and one right there. Take those 2 10mm bolts out. This pulls out, and drain the coolant right now.
And the vacuum pump.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the vacuum pump out. 2 13mm bolts right there, and
I think they might be 12 actually.
is it 12 or 13?
12 or 13, something like that.
12 or 13, one of those two, huh? But that's what we got so far. Get back to y'all when we're done doing this. All right.
So I'm taking the last bolt out of the EGR valve right now. And here it is. You can see after 180,000 miles, it's pretty
That's just
pretty bad. It's about a 1/2 inch thick right there of carbon buildup.
Yep.
Come look how plugged up the intake manifold is. So
just
we're
plug solid, eh?
we're definitely gonna have to take the intake manifold off and burn all that out of there. That's really restricting this motor on air.
Also have the vacuum pump pulled off. The cake tells a new seal to put on there. So put it on there so it don't leak.
That's where our camshaft holder goes for when we get to the timing belt, so you don't lose your timing. But I'll just show y'all real quick how this EGR is set up in there. So from the outside view, when you're looking at it, you can see this, and then there's this little tube that goes under there that connects to the EGR cooler, and see it right down in here. And what it is, there's 3 bolts that hold the EGR onto the intake manifold, and this tube right here blocks you from getting this lower bolt. So you kind of have to work this tube out first, and then you can get the EGR valve off. And then once you do that, you got plenty of access to everything else. So we're going to throw these right in the trash.
Don't need that.
Don't need that anymore. And that EGR delete pipe we got goes right there in place of that valve, and goes just like that, or just like that. And then your upper hose connects to it. So.
And this is the hose that's supplied. This is the factory one going to the EGR.
Yeah, that EGR cooler, and it goes. This hose right here. We'll show y'all in a video putting that on, but it goes from the coolant flange, and instead of going to the EGR cooler, it goes straight into the firewall to the heater core.
To the left hose, right?
Yeah, just like that right there. It sits in there. We'll show y'all whenever we get everything else out of the way. But for now, what we're going to do is start taking off the second piece of the air inlet to the turbo. Down there's a clamp. We got to get that off, and then we'll have this plastic air tube out. Then we'll get the EGR cooler out, and we'll block off the exhaust manifold, the port, and then we'll get the intake manifold pulled off so we can start cleaning it out.
So far, so smooth though.
Yeah, so far we haven't stripped out any bolts or broken anything off, fingers crossed.
Yeah, everything's aluminum, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, so we'll get back to y'all once we get all this stuff off. Alright, so we got the EGR cooler all unbolted. I got it unbolted off the exhaust manifold, and then all the coolant supply lines are unbolted, or unclamped rather. You can take all these hoses and stuff off separately, but I'm just fishing it all out as one unit. But that's the EGR cooler. It sits in there just like that, and these are the 3 mounting points for it. It goes on your the back side of your intake manifold, and then this hose keys in right here. And
the firewall.
Yeah, and on the EGR delete kit, there's a hose barb in here for just a straight fitting, because you don't need this anymore. And then this hose is the one we were showing y'all earlier.
That's going to go to the intake flange.
It's brand new. Yeah. And I still have to take the other side of it off of the firewall. It goes right here. It pretty much uses the EGR cooler as a pass-through before it goes to the heater core. But yeah, this is all trash. We're throwing all this away too.
It's just terrible design.
Yeah.
Don't need it.
So next we're going to block off the intake, or block off the exhaust manifold so nothing falls in there. And it's way down here. You can see it. Yeah, and it's just one EGR block off plate, and then we're gonna start pulling off the intake manifold, and we'll show you all up close how plugged up it really is.
Looks like it's just some 13 mil bolts right there. Or is it Allen's?
No, the intake manifold's Allen's.
It's Allen's, sorry.
Yeah, so we'll get those off, and we'll get back to y'all on the intake manifold being off, and then you can really see down in there, see the turbo and everything.
We also pulled the inner fender liner out. Figured might as well pull the intercooler out. There it is.
Yeah, so
Pull it out, clean it out. I'm sure it's a little.
Weston pulled the wheel off, the inner fender liner. It'll help us get to the crankshaft pulley and all that stuff when we do the timing belt. And then as well, we can take the lower intercooler hose off.
Found out.
Yeah, it
needs a sway bar and link. That's broken. But little stuff, not big
Brakes
deal.
look good, you know, other than being rusty, kind of set for 7 years. But the pads, they got plenty left on them.
Yep.
So hopefully they're fine, you know, they don't start sticking or anything. But we're going to leave them. We'll probably leave this sway bar link for now. Might replace it if we can.
Just gonna drive the car for a little bit.
We might go to the junkyard later today and see if we can get one or something off a parts car. Oh, actually, guess who has a parts car sitting right over there?
Wow! Justin wrecked his white one, so now he gets to put in the green one.
Yeah, so I actually have 2 of these already. So Weston got a whole parts car. We both have a parts car now. Because I wrecked mine.
But
yeah, we'll get back once we get that intake manifold off. So we got the intake manifold off. And you can see it is just plugged full.
Oil set.
You can see there's a good like ½ inch, 3/8 ½ inch of buildup.
Compared to the finger, I mean,
It's bad.
caked.
Let me see. We got
Plug solid. Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah, terrible. So we'll end up burning all this out. And we'll make it look pretty much brand new. You won't even be able to tell that it was ever like that. And then once that's out of the way, you know, we can see everything down in here. The ports on the head are kind of dirty, but I mean, there's nothing
They're not
really
too bad. I don't know if you can see it or not.
nothing really we can do about that.
It'll clear itself out eventually.
And so we're gonna drop the manifold block off plate now, the exhaust manifold.
Comes in a kit. Gasket plate.
New gasket and plate. You got to reuse the old nuts, so make sure you don't strip them out or anything.
That's right. There we go. Like that.
And then you just put the old nuts on there and tighten them down.
That. Got the new brass tee that comes in on that one line we showed you earlier.
And then we got the hose taken off of the firewall.
Left one.
Right there. So we'll put that on later. We just get it out of the way right now.
But that's all we got so far.
So I'll tighten this down, and then I think the next thing we'll do is probably start pulling all the timing belt stuff off and get started on that. So we'll show you all. We'll start the timing belt process. So you start a fire on this end of it, and then you blow shot air through it, and it'll burn out all the soot, and it'll make it look brand new inside.